Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, hit subscribe right now to my super chat. I cannot thank you enough, ladies and gentlemen. If you want to talk about the trials today, Trump, the criminal referral that will not lead to an indictment, the endless attempt at them trying to indict Trump while at the same time covering up their own almost certain criminal activity. Hit subscribe via super chat if you want to talk about inflation, the fact that food price inflation is a major issue. It wasn't during Trump's administration. We can talk about the economy and the fact that we are going to experience a recession in 2023, unfortunately. Everyone here, Joel, Eric, uh, Kevin, everyone here, thank you so very much. Kristen, thank you so very much for tuning in, everybody. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Hit subscribe to my super chat again. Any topic within reason, would love to address your thoughts via super chat. And I want to start off before we get to the Twitter files part 9 that are going to come out either this evening or this week or Friday or Thursday or Friday. Why aren't people talking about food inflation? Why aren't people talking about the fact we're going to have a recession in 23? That's a question that should be asked by everybody. Why does the American political establishment, how are they able to seamlessly change the topic of an economy where real wages are down 7 to 8 to 9% at times? So we did not have these problems. Trump was very good in terms of foreign policy, excellent in terms of foreign policy. We didn't have an invasion in Europe, and we didn't have 8 to 9% real wages down 8.5% at one point. Okay? But all they did was obsess. All they did was obsess over Trump. And now they're still obsessing over Trump. But the point is, ladies and gentlemen, do you think any Democrat is talking about food price inflation? Republicans should bring that up. That is important. Okay? They made a big deal of inflation. The aggregate number still 7 to 8%. But we shouldn't even be anywhere near 7%. We're going into Biden's third year, 2023. He will be impeached for obvious graft schemes. We have the emails and we have the 150 financial transactions, and it's beyond overt and obvious. But why do you think people aren't talking about the fact that food prices continue to go up? Why do you think that's the case? Okay. Some very positive news. Please go ahead and watch my segment today on Abe Hamadeh in Arizona. Okay. He's on his way. His case is going to trial, and his claims are being addressed. Same with Lake. Her trial was ongoing today. We'll talk about that a little later. But a lot of positive things are taking place. And by the way, Pony Soldier, thank you again. I didn't thank you. Pony Soldier starting off the super chat. Thank you. Thank you so much. And we'll get to the Twitter files and Twitter files 9, but I want to just start off by, if you look, ladies and gentlemen, at the national discussion, why the Federal Reserve, this is just solve food price inflation. Okay? If you just focus on this, if we had, for example, these problems under Trump, okay, instead of obsessing over everything he said and looking at the economy that he presided over, okay, yet interest rate hikes have not yet had any meaningful impact on food prices. The reason food prices are up is directly tied to diesel prices and energy prices. Okay, they pumped 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. And so that artificially lowered the cost. So Biden, while he's pontificating about the planet, pumped 200 million barrels of strategic petroleum reserves. Food prices went up. If they want to say, well, the aggregate inflation numbers went down, and they were so happy about that, food prices went up. Nobody is asking why food prices went up, and at home prices but food at home continued to elevate. Here, over the last 2 years, November food at home CPI, Consumer Price Index, was up 12%, while overall inflation was up 7.1%. Real wages are still down close to 8.5, either 7.5 to 8.5%, because everyone buys food. You need food to survive. Rent went up. Too. Rent prices are going up. Okay. Food prices, rent, you need these things to live. Okay. The CPI peaked in June at 9.9%, while grocery price increases peaked at 13.5%. Thanksgiving was the most expensive it had been in 4 decades. Something like 1 out of 4 people did not celebrate Thanksgiving because Biden's economy is terrible. Okay, so that's the thing here. That's the issue here. The issue is you have the major concerns, especially of people on the left. The major concerns here. Um, the major concerns like food prices going up, which cuts into real wages, which makes life more difficult. The left says they care about the poor, the working class. This is the worst case scenario. They never look at the numbers. They never look at the economic numbers. They just preach and pontificate about Trump's words. So price inflation has not slowed because many large companies continue to raise prices higher than cost increases. But again, that's not just companies are raising prices because of factors oftentimes beyond their control. If you want to say, well, they're price gouging, well, we live in a capitalist society. So you can't force Apple to reduce the price or the cost of its iPhone. Okay, they don't blame Apple for expensive iPhones, but they blame uh, oil companies or food companies for increasing or grocery stores for increasing the price of food products. It's like, well, but there are other issues at play. There's a labor shortage in key industries. Energy prices are up because Biden's energy policies are horrendous. Um, they came in not addressing inflation. So they deliberately didn't address inflation. In fact, they said inflation would just go away. They made a big point early on of saying inflation would just go away. And this is really important. I mean, this ties into everything we're talking about. We're going to talk about the trials. We're going to talk about Twitter files. We're going to talk about Trump and the criminal referral, the fact that they're not going to indict him, the fact that they can indict him. But I mean, the issue here is it's like, well, why are people paying more money? They're paying more money because in terms of diesel, we're facing a shortage of diesel. But here, we have already expected increases. We've already increased the prices that we were expecting this year, but I'm predicting next year inflation will continue. And as a consequence, we'll have another round of price increases. Is Trump's personality that bad? Are you like obsessed over Trump's personality that you will actually pay more for food? This is the 3rd year in Biden's administration. Okay. So is this democracy to you? If you are a morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrat, not only will we face a recession yet again, but food prices will go up even more so than they have. The average family, every time a person goes to the supermarket, is dropping easily 150 to 250. 100 to 150 to $250. That net for not really not for that much in terms of how many bags of groceries. You can just I can ask a poll here. I mean, you could ask the live stream. When you go to the supermarket, are you spending 100 to 200, 200 to 300? Okay, everything's gone up in price. That's because of Biden's energy policies. That's a huge issue. These are the people on the left that pontificate and preach about morality, ignore the reality of what's going on. Is it immoral to ignore inflation, which is what they did? To preside over an invasion that we can go on and on about that, but you're not even, in terms of foreign policy, you're not even going to try and negotiate. And in terms of economic policy, you're not even going to address the inflation that's taking place. So economic policy has been a disaster. We still have 7% plus inflation. Not Trump's fault. The policies of the Democratic Party, the policies pushed by bureaucrats, and a fabricated consensus caused all of this. It's really not even up for debate. Because the first thing they'll point to is, well, you're forgetting Trump's last year. Well, Trump's last year in office, who decided economic policy, Trump or the bureaucrats and state governments run by Democrats? He had no power over state governments. So the rationale or the rebuttal is, well, if he had taken it seriously, we wouldn't have had to shut down our economies. That is a purely subjective statement. Taking it seriously, downplaying. These are all allegations based on one's sensibilities. He took it very seriously, but more people lost their lives under Biden. That is a fact. But Biden wasn't blamed. Okay, it's called public relations and marketing. Democrats are much better at that than Trump Republicans, unfortunately. So I just wanted to start off with that. I mean, food prices are going up. The same morally superior, highly educated liberal Democrats who view Trump to be the embodiment of evil would rather have food prices up higher than they've been in 4 decades than Trump, when even in his last year in office, the economy in terms of aggregate numbers or in terms of inflation was better. We didn't have 7 to 8% inflation in Trump's last year. It was like 2%. And then and if you say, well, there was no economic activity. Well, it was still around 2% in 2019 when we had record low poverty. And then there's a spending bill where it's $1.7 trillion in spending. But if the spending bill grew the economy or addressed inflation, that would be one thing. But we had 2 quarters of negative growth this year. We'll have 2 quarters of negative growth this coming year. So tell me how this benefits. Like when they went after Trump for the tax cuts, they said, "Oh, well, it's hurting the deficit." And it's like, okay, well, yeah, it increases the size of the deficit, but also the economy increased. Inflation wasn't at 7%. People were able to keep more money and people were able to spend more money, and they didn't have to waste more money on inflation. Real wages were not down 8.5%. Real wages were up 1.1% under Trump. Real wages were up 1.1% under Trump, people. They're down 7 to 8.5% under Biden. And these spending bills, if they actually, like, this is the thing. The knock on Trump was that the tax cuts added to the debt and increased the deficit. But the tax cuts grew the economy. There was economic growth, which made us more influential on the world stage. And every demographic benefited. What Democrats do in media is that they say, well, Trump is evil and he's horrible and he's a terrible person. And we are the morally superior, but they preside over greater poverty. Poverty has increased. They preside over real wages plummeting. They preside over inflation. Tough it out. Hello. And so and so that's something I think people should understand. And I'm going to talk more about that on H.A. Goodman's other channel, and I'll grow the stock market crash channel this year. So I know January 1st is around the corner. I'm going to be doing like 10 videos a day, people. 4 on this channel, 4 on H.A. Goodman's other channel, and 2 to 4 on the stock market crash. I always say that, but I really, really have to. My New Year's resolution is to grow 3 channels and subscribe to all 3. They're on the homepage of this channel. And because of the way things are, and I want, the channels to grow. I want us to get to 250 by the end of this year on this channel, and hopefully, if I work hard, we can get 30 to 40,000 on H.A. Goodman's other channel, and hopefully 10 to 20,000 on the stock market crash channel in terms of subscribers. But just to let everybody know, from now on, the titles will be shorter and perhaps more vague, just because of the robots. Let's leave it at that. Rob, why? Rob, thank you. CF Rob, hello. Hey, H.A., what about the cost of inkjet cartridges? That is more expensive than gas or iPhones. Hey, Joel Valdez, hello. Yes, I mean everything. Rob, thank you so very much. Joel, thank you. Yeah, I mean, everything is more expensive, and that's mismanagement. See, here's the thing, Rob. Thank you so much. That's true. Here's the thing, Rob. They keep on pontificating, but they're actually doing the opposite of what they claim to be against. Falvey Pollard! I can't help it. I favor supporting I favor supporting UA or HA. I think, are you saying HA or UA? I'm not 100% sure about the last. I don't know exactly what you're referring to, but thank you so very much, Falvey Pollard. Thank you. Thank you. I'll just read it as I can't help it. I favor supporting HA. I appreciate that, Falvey. Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. DC, hello. Thank you so much, Rob and Falvey Pollard. Thank you so very much to my super chat. Thank you, MP. Hello. Trump and DeSantis have to go ahead and they have to say, look, vote for us. We're better. That's what they have to say. We're better. We're a better choice. We're a better choice. That's what they have to say. We will address inflation. And they have to, like, if those trials, if Lake and Abe Hamadeh's trials, if they win those trials, it's completely new paradigm. Joel Valdez, I'm honored to be mentioned on Super Chat. Thank you, Mr. White. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Joel, thank you so very, very much. Joel, thank you so very, very much. Greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you. Greatly appreciated. Joel, thank you. I think that and Joel Falvey Pollard, Pony Soldier, Rob White, I think that there's a paradigm shift that's going to take place, especially in terms of Falvey. Yeah, I mean, I want them to win. Falvey Pollard, thank you. I want them to win. My thing is, I think that you would agree with this, Falvey Pollard. Thank you so very much. I want them to win. I just want some emphasis on negotiation. To fight a proxy battle, you're utilizing another country to do your work. to implement your foreign policy in a way, as long as it obviously it suits their national security interests to a great extent, obviously. But the thing is, Falvey Pollard, thank you again. My Kevin, thank you. My vantage point has always been, and Joel, Falvey, everybody here, my vantage point has been the following: if you can avert, circumvent catastrophe, loss of life, people being forced out of their homes, if you can avert that, if you can circumvent that, even Noam Chomsky, who makes absurd claims about Trump, like, because of thoughts on how Trump and the planet, protecting the planet and Trump. But in terms of foreign policy, or blaming Trump for something that wasn't his fault in his last year in office, when more people lost their lives under Biden after he'd left. But anyway, even Noam Chomsky, who's very, very intelligent, very brilliant man, even Noam Chomsky stated that Trump has a much better viewpoint on the current situation in Europe. That's because Trump is the anti-interventionist. He's not the hawk. He's not the militaristic establishment, Democratic, Republican establishment foreign policy person. That's the reason I love Trump when it comes to foreign policy. He wanted to negotiate some kind of deal to prevent all of this from taking place. And you have these wonderful, highly educated, morally superior Democrats who don't even care. They don't mind. They don't mind if um, they don't mind like if that battle goes on forever. I mean, if you ask the Democratic politician, at what point would you push for a negotiated settlement? Pony Soldier, I think so. If you ask a highly educated, morally superior Democrat, at what point would you push for a negotiated settlement? Okay, what do you think they'd say if you gave them a choice in 2024, in 2025? What if in 2027 or 2028? You could look at counterinsurgency conflicts. You could look at, uh, you know, conflicts that last 5, 6, 7, 10 years, a decade. I mean, the loss of life, the brutality. All they see is our team. They think they're the new Cold Warriors. But guess what? This didn't happen under Trump. If it happened under Trump, they would have, oh my God, the indignation. Could you imagine if there was an invasion in Europe under Trump? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? They couldn't even stand the Helsinki conference. Oh my God, they thought it was worse than Pearl Harbor. So, I mean, there's no emphasis on some kind of negotiated settlement. Tammy, thank you so very much. Thank you, Tammy. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year to everybody. I don't understand like the people who truly care about that country invaded in Europe are actually Trump Republicans. And that's the truth. The reason Democrats care tomorrow, if the leader of that country said, you know what, we like Trump better, immediately all of those Democrats on Twitter would remove the symbols from their profile. Immediately. Immediately. They would do to him what they did to Musk and DeSantis and Trump immediately. You're talking about a this collective groupthink that gets a memo and they turn on a dime. They immediately change their tune. You have to ask yourself, That is that morality or is that immorality? Of course, it's immorality. You should do everything possible to prevent a catastrophic loss of life in a never-ending conflict. Okay. Um, national security. Trump had a very good grasp of what national security entails. National security does not entail funding a proxy battle. That is a sinister type of um, endeavor. You are, you are, you allow something to take place that could have been averted with negotiation because you didn't want to negotiate with a country that you wanted a reset with. So President Obama came in with a reset. Hillary Clinton had a big red button with one of those officials, and they were resetting everything. The hawk was McCain. Romney was the hawk. And then President Obama said, the 80s want their foreign policy back. But you're spending tens of billions of dollars for other people to fight and to risk their lives, lose their lives. And where was the emphasis on averting all of this? Joel Valdez, he always chose negotiating for peace. Exactly. Exactly. And this is Joel, this is the first conflict that the United States was basically had no interest in negotiating any type of settlement. There are major conflicts throughout the world that where the US routinely says, you know what, we're going to negotiate um, to see if we can find some kind of peace deal to avert these problems. So, um, but that's not happening. Then you have Trump. They're still obsessed with his tax returns. I mean, you'll never you know, you have these. It's public informant warned the bureau. So indict him. This is the thing, okay? You cry wolf with Trump for 7 years. For 7 years, you've cried wolf with Trump, but they don't have anything. They don't have anything. They don't have anything on Trump. So I have Elon Musk right here. Twitter. So here's why one of the reasons Musk purchased Twitter. Okay. Schumer and McConnell, the public have spoken. They are overwhelmingly against this giant spending bill. Okay. See, again, if Democrats could actually point to the economy doing well, which it's not, then I would say, okay, you know what? A spending bill, it's 1.7 trillion and you know what? Maybe disagree with how it's spent or parts of it how parts of it are is spent, but at least it's growing the economy. At least there isn't 7% real wages down 7 to 8% and inflation, food inflation going up, and all these other issues. But it doesn't do that. But you still have these problems. That's like I said. I mean, if you're gonna talk about spending, if you're gonna talk about 1.7 trillion, then how is it going to help the economy? Joel Valdez, they are setting precedent for their own demise by making tax returns public. Exactly. But I mean, see, the thing is, that's the issue with Hunter is that Hunter and Joel, great point. But see, the thing is, they didn't, they don't put their true earnings. Hunter and Joe did not address the Rob Lowe did not address the. That's why he has tax. Uh, that's why Hunter is under investigation, criminal investigation for tax issues. So, so it's like these the $1 billion that Elon Musk talked about in terms of FTX money. I mean, you have the greatest scandals, FTX, okay, the Twitter files with government officials being, I mean, the Twitter files and FTX alone should dominate the news. Both of them are directly correlated to corruption within the Democratic Party. They don't dominate the news. Okay, it's always sensibilities. Oh, Trump, he's not a good Republican. Well, Liz Cheney and Kinzinger voted alongside Trump 90 plus percent of the time. So he was a good enough Republican for them. But the Twitter files show that government agencies influenced Twitter, and the influence was there. The rebuttal then is, well, they were just following protocol. Well, the protocol and procedures and the bureaucracy within government organizations and the bureaucracy within Twitter itself just happen to always align with the political interests of the Democratic Party. How does that work out? Isn't that interesting how that happens? What a coincidence that is. Of course, there's no political motive there. Like, the only rebuttal to the Twitter files would be a gullible, naive approach to looking at everything in very in this kind of naive manner, like a gullible, naive um like you look at things that take place, and in aggregate you can't see how it benefits one political party and harms another. You just say they took place, and that's just the fact that they were just following bureaucracy was okay. It's kind of like this. I don't know. Like the word is this vacuum. That's the word I'm looking for. Every single the rebuttal to the Twitter files is that every single event or action that took place by bureaucrats and by Twitter officials is seen within a vacuum, independent of any aggregate or bird's eye viewpoint. So when Elon Musk says, yeah, hey, millions of dollars, the Bureau spent millions of dollars to censor people, you have a rebuttal from a whole bunch of publications. That's wrong. He doesn't understand the existing relationship that took place. Well, of course, the Bureau was supposed to give millions of dollars to Twitter. That's what they agreed on. Okay. And what was the political motivation? Was there any incentive in terms of politics? Was there any incentive? Do you think maybe these government agencies and Twitter share a political, uh, share the same political objectives, namely to stop Trump, or anyone that communicates or argues in favor of a certain claim or viewpoint? When you make a certain viewpoint, when you make it impossible to express a viewpoint because it does not suit your own political objectives. So they make it impossible in terms of the Twitter robots or algorithm or whatever. They make it impossible to express a viewpoint. They say if you express this viewpoint, it could be on a number of topics, you are suspended. That those ideas, those opinions, those vantage points, those viewpoints always correlate with the conservative or Trump Republican perspective. Then you have the Bureau actually uh, informing Twitter of accounts that haven't broken the law, which is that's what the Federal Bureau of Investigation does. They go after lawbreakers. They don't go after people who just say mean things or things that they don't agree with. You're protected under the First Amendment unless you have government agencies, quote unquote, helping Twitter find out who's breaking Twitter protocol. The problem, however, is that that's that's the First Amendment violation there. You can't just if the Steele dossier, for example, if Twitter was run by uh, Rudy Giuliani and you had uh, a Trump loyalist running the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and every single Democratic pundit was kicked off the platform, or a great many Democratic pundits, and liberals were accounts were being silenced, suspended, banned all the time. You had hundreds of liberal accounts banned. And you had the government agencies saying, look, you know what? This is a liberal, this is a communist, a socialist, this is a left leaning account. You have to suspend them because why? Twitter rules already don't allow for discussion about pick any topic important to Democrats. The Steele dossier. Sorry, you can't talk about the Steele dossier. Oh, by the way, we're going to suspend BuzzFeed because the Steele dossier is completely fabricated anyway. And actually, it does emanate from, we know very well it emanates from a foreign country. So they wouldn't stand for that. They would not stand for that. So they would not stand for any of that stuff. Um, but I mean, all of this, look, if Trump cheats DeSantis, I'm not voting for Trump. If Democrats do the same to Bernie Sanders, almost the entire left still votes Democrat. Do you see the difference between me and you and the average person who just votes blue no matter who? There is nothing that will get them not to vote Democrat. There's nothing. They will always vote no matter what. No matter what. You can have a pro-life Democrat. You'd still get the majority of the Democratic Party voting for the pro-life Democrat. There is nothing that. So, foreign policy for me, I will never vote for somebody who aligns themselves in terms of foreign policy with the Lincoln Project foreign policy. I think that is the most I think that is the most important issue. Far more important than any issue at all. So foreign policy to me is what I will not sacrifice that viewpoint for any candidate. Trump was the antithesis of Lincoln Project foreign policy, so I'm voting Trump. If it's Mitt Romney versus Tulsi Gabbard, I'll vote Tulsi Gabbard because she's the antithesis. If she was a Democrat, she just left the Democratic Party, but so I wasn't born to to side with any political party. Like I always say, I lost like 10 lifelong friends. Okay, because of the sin of voting for Trump. That's literally the only thing that I ever did wrong. Literally. I mean, you have arguments here and there sometimes with certain people, but like literally, some people never had an argument for like decades. The only thing I did wrong was vote Trump. That's also part of the cult right there. That's a cult-like mentality. With Trump, they make absurd leaps of logic When they are caught in the act, it's always plausible deniability, plausible deniability. You can't prove this, you can't prove that. But there's more circumstantial evidence with Hunter and Joe than there ever was with Trump. There's far more circumstantial evidence. Far more. That's why they had to silence the Hunter Biden story. I mean, here's the thing, an actual publication was suspended. An actual publication was suspended, ladies and gentlemen. That should tell you something. That should tell you something. When you have an actual publication suspended, that really should tell you something. I mean, that should tell you that, I mean, we're no longer in the, like, this is not the society or the country or the world that we knew even in 2015. Once 2016 took place, we crossed the Rubicon into Orwell's 1984. Because they then realized, Joe Valdez! If Carrie Lake wins her case together with Elon, the other Venezuela's justice will have a difficult time turning. I agree with you. I agree with you. And you know, the thing is, even if one of the claims, even if one of the claims, Abe Hamadeh also has an important, very important. Abe Hamadeh's, I mean, check out, Joel, the segment I did today. Abe Hamadeh's case is extremely, extremely important. You know, I'm not going to get into it, but he's actually he's actually uh he's actually asking for even more than Lake is. He's actually asking for a lot more, to tell you the truth. Or maybe just I'll say more. So, I mean, if you know, they have to prove that anomalies, Joel, are not just coincidental, okay? The plausible deniability, see, here's the thing. You don't have Trump engaging in these types of tactics. Democrats do that with Bernie Sanders. They do it all the time. It's the rebuttal from media and Democrats and wonderful, morally superior liberal Democrats is always, you can't prove anything. Then the Democratic National Committee emails come out. Then it was a plot by another country to confirm what we already knew, that Bernie Sanders was being railroaded. Now, again, Bernie Sanders is probably a good human being, but he'll go down, if you really look at it in history, as somebody who was completely railroaded, didn't have the, let's just say, the courage to even acknowledge it. So you can say what you like about Trump, you don't like Trump, but if he's wronged, or if he feels that he's wronged, he's going to tell everybody. Bernie Sanders was categorically, even Elizabeth Warren, Donna Brazile, they all admitted that he was railroaded. He didn't even have the courage to say the truth. And then he went after Trump with the same, utilizing the same tactics they used against him. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. So, Joel Valdez, thank you so very, very much. You look, ladies and gentlemen, also like Elon Musk took away. Part 9 will come out, and um, probably tomorrow or by Friday. They'll probably have something maybe special for Christmas, but you look, and this was the greatest advantage, along with FTX money, Democrats had. This was the greatest advantage, the absolute greatest advantage Democrats had, people. They don't have that anymore going into now. You have Lake and Hamadeh winning those, hopefully at least part of those trials. That's something that could be an incentive for the state political parties to play ball. Joel Valdez. Yes, that's another case. Joel, thank you. Rob White, we need Lake in Congress to wake people up. I agree with you. The only thing is, I want her to win uh, either the trial or, you know, I think that you have to have somebody with a track record of winning. And again, I understand the vantage point. I wanted her to win desperately. But like DeSantis, I want DeSantis is he played the game and won. The game has changed, and now hopefully she can win in court. But I do agree with you, Rob. Thank you so very much. I mean, and like Rob, that's true. And just because you lost once, I mean, you had a number of Democrats who kept losing and won eventually. So Ossoff, he kept losing and then won eventually. Joel, thank you. Rob, thank you. So I have no doubt that she will be either a congresswoman or governor of one day. I think it's very important. Um, nice, Tammy. Yeah, Hacksaw Jim Duggan's one of the greatest ever. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm. That's terrible news, but I'm glad he was able to defend himself. I didn't hear that, Tammy. Thank you. Um, but you look, ladies and gentlemen, and it's like, um, they can't, even when they're caught in the act with the Twitter files or with the Democratic National Committee emails or with Hunter's emails, the rebuttal, the response is, you can't prove anything. This is just the way it is. Everybody knows that in terms of politics, they're covering up criminal activity on their end of the political divide and going after throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at Trump. Throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at Trump. Accusing him, making absurd leaps of logic just in an effort to accuse him. Okay? Extreme leaps of logic just to accuse him. Okay? So they don't like this, the same standard. If Trump, for example, all you have to do is just um, flip the script. Just, you know what? Just say, look, just flip the script. What if, for example, Trump had private servers or emails that showed clear violations of the law? What if that took place? Do you think that they would treat Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump in the same manner as Hunter? You think if the Federal Bureau of Investigation was actively working with Twitter to suspend or ban a Democratic Party or liberal accounts, do you think they would care? Of course they would. When they lose, do they stomp their feet and blame other countries and refuse to acknowledge Trump's victory? Of course they do. Of course they do. So, you're talking about extreme hypocrisy. Hetty, hello. But you need Elon Musk. I mean, he is heroic. Elon Musk is heroic. In the next 2 years, I don't think people understand the next 2 years, huge paradigm shift in American politics towards everything that I've been talking about. Towards the reason you watch this channel and the reason you will like H.A. Goodman's other channel, Stock Market Crash channel, is everything that I've been talking about will play out. Like the next 2 years, you'll have the House of Representatives impeach Biden. Unfortunately, we'll have a recession. DeSantis will move up in the rankings, and if Trump doesn't up his game, could surpass Trump. I want Trump to get back to that 2015 electricity that the all he has to say is record low poverty. In 2019, we had record low poverty and subordinate hello. With 20 and so in in the last year in his last year in office, they're going to blame Trump for his last year, knowing very well that Democrats gleefully tanked state economies, knowing very well. Like, did Trump tell Cuomo and Whitmer and Pritzker and Newsom and others to shut down economic activity? Did he tell people to do that? Could he have prevented people from the governors from doing that? He couldn't have. So it's like it's everyone sees what's going on. That's why the House of Representatives went Trump Republican. The reason the Senate didn't go Trump Republican is they had Twitter for the past 5 years working with government officials, and they had FTX money. If you removed FTX money and you removed Twitter from the equation, they don't get the Senate. Think about that for a second, because even I'm very hard on Trump because of just certain things pertaining to optics and, you know, communication here and there, but they barely won. They barely won the Senate, and that's with every conceivable advantage. I mean, you got to ask yourself, people, if you have every conceivable advantage and you lose the House and barely win the Senate, and then you have like the National Review, and then you have Mitch McConnell, and then you have Never Trumpers. I'm not I don't like DeSantis because I'm a never Trumper. I think Trump is fantastic in many ways. In terms of the economy and foreign policy, he's infinitely better than any Democrat. Infinitely better than mashed potato brains right now. But if you look, if you look, DeSantis is a good option, even if the never Trumpers like him too. Just because the never Trumpers like DeSantis doesn't mean that, or I should say, the people who aren't fond of Trump. I mean, the never Trumpers don't like DeSantis really either. They keep on saying, like, it's really interesting. This is, if you look at Liz Cheney and Kinzinger, okay? You look at Liz Cheney and you look at Kinzinger, okay? They voted over 90% of the time with Trump in Congress. What is it that makes Trump extreme? Okay? Um, Steeler girl. Yeah, I let's see. I don't think a link, you can't post links because the way the live stream is set up, you can't post links on the live stream. If you could tell me where the link is or the name of the link, I can tell everybody right now to go to GoFundMe and um donate, give a Christmas present. Um So Steeler Girl, tell me the like the what the how you would go on GoFundMe and search for that name. So, or like where on GoFundMe it is, or how people could get to it. So just let me know via the chat right here. Uh, so yeah. Um, so yeah, I think that it'll be very interesting if DeSantis um when I think that DeSantis will, um, I think that DeSantis will run for president. I think he has a very, very good chance to do so, depending on what Trump does. Um, if Trump doesn't get back that 2015, electricity, then it'll be an uphill battle, and DeSantis can overcome him. If he gets back that electricity, then there's no stopping Trump. And also, he has to, whether it's Trump or DeSantis, he has to make peace. And maybe these trials will lead to détente because the Republicans in Arizona have to make peace with, Trump or DeSantis because of the verdicts. We'll see. So everybody, Steeler Girl 17 has a GoFundMe for her son, and go ahead and if you want to give a Christmas present, please do so. I don't know where the links don't show up on this. Um, the links aren't allowed to show up on chats, but if Steeler Girl tells everybody how to go ahead and give that Christmas present, um, I'll be more than happy to, tell everybody, or please go ahead and write, within the chat how to. Thank you, Renee. Thank you for watching in Denmark. Thank you. I was very fortunate to have a number of viewers in Denmark. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go 5 more minutes. And we should have, I'll probably do a live stream or an upload later tonight. Another live stream later tonight. I'm not exactly sure. But there's a lot going on. And I probably will do another live stream. And let's see, we'll go 5 more minutes. 10, probably 10:30. Probably have another live stream at 10:30. So, um, what? Let's see here. I love how the second Elon Musk tells the truth, it's almost like a mathematical equation. Like other social media companies too, not just Twitter. Wow. So, this Twitter poll, by the way, it's like he knew exactly what he was doing. It's kind of hilarious because they're like, "Oh wow, kicked it out." Like, oh, as soon as I find somebody. So, Ryan, hello. So, ladies and gentlemen, um, let's see. Let's see. Can you post the link? I don't know if you can. I'm not sure if you could post the link on the channel. I don't think you could post links. But how do people get there? Is there something that they could type to if they go to GoFundMe to get to the link? So, ladies and gentlemen, be here tonight at around 10:30. We will have a live stream at 10:30, people. Um, but I am gonna head. So, Steeler Girl, if you can, the next time that you're here, if you could, Steeler Girl 17, if you could, perhaps the next time you're here, at 10:30. I mean, I'll have another live stream at 10:30 p.m. Feel free to let everybody know how to get to that link, or just remind me during the next live stream. I apologize. I have to go right now, but we will definitely we'll definitely get that, you know, we'll get people to know where to how to get to where that is. So because I don't think that the stream allows links. But we'll figure that out, and we'll get that going. Everybody here, thank you so much. Be here at 10:30 p.m. Pacific, people. Joel Valdez, everyone, thank you so very, very much, everybody. I will see you at 10:30 p.m. Pacific time. Thanks, everybody. God bless. And